Hey Canucks fans, let's talk about how a flat salary cap is going to affect the team. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clay Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. This is my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Friday, July the 10th. This is where you get Canucks insight that's positive and timely. I hope you're well. Thank you for your great feedback to my chat with Rick Dollywall. He's one of a kind. It was a lot of fun yesterday, and I hope that came out during our chat. So make sure you check that out if you haven't done so already. I bring up today's topic, the salary cap, because of an excellent article that Thomas Drance wrote in The Athletic. It was easy to follow. It was well researched. It was well written. It was logical. All that. It was realistic. All those things. And he basically talked about the trouble that the Vancouver Canucks are in because of the flat salary cap. We know it's going to be $81.5 million for at least the next 2 or 3 seasons, depending on when hockey-related revenue catches up, so to speak, so they can increase it. And that's not good news for any team, but especially for the Canucks, who were counting on that originally, that 4 million bump that they were talking about at the start of the season. And so Thomas does a really good job of laying out potential contracts, existing contracts, sort of moves that the Canucks will have to do. And I'll walk through a few of them, which I found very interesting. I guess the part of this too is a few days ago, I talked about how the flat salary cap is going to affect Pettersson and Hughes. And when it comes to their next deal, how it likely will result in a bridge deal as opposed to a long-term deal and buying out 1 or 2 of their UFA years. So I've talked about that before. I'm sure we'll be talking about that again. Drance alludes to that very quickly in this article, but it was more about the entire roster. So he paints a bleak picture right from the very start when the Canucks have $16.3 million to basically sign 8 players only. So there are 15 players that are under contract for next year already take up just around $65 million. And we knew that there were 10 guys that were the Canucks would have to reconsider, right? 5 UFAs and 5 RFAs. Of the 5 UFAs, we have the big 3 of Markstrom, Toffoli, and Tanev. Also, Josh Levo is a UFA, and Oscar Fantenberg is a UFA. Then on the RFAs, the restricted free agents, where we have, in essence, basically first rights to negotiate with them. It's Troy Stecher, it's Jake Virtanen, it's Adam Gaudette, it is Zach McEwen, and it is Tyler Mott. So those are 10 guys we're looking at. We have 15 guys under contract, including Eriksson and Sutter, who I'll get to in a second. So Thomas Drance does a really good job of weaving out a scenario that helps us. And not helping us is the fact that we still have $3 million in the cap recapture penalty for Roberto Luongo. We're still paying $1 million out for Ryan Spooner buyout. Remember that guy? And then, of course, there's the fact that we have Berchi in the minors as well. It's costing us a bit of money. So this is, in a perfect world, and some of these might sound nonsensical or might not sound logical, but Drance does a really good job of explaining his reasoning and all these. So if the Canucks were somehow be able to do these 4 things, trading Jordy Ben without retaining salary, he's still got $2 million cap hit, and he wasn't really that good last year. So that's number 1, trading Jordy Ben. Number 2, retaining 50% of Berchi's salary, but trading him away. Okay, and then he walks through that scenario where you have to retain $1 million of his salary, or a bit more of that. But basically, retaining 50% of Berchi's salary. Buying out Brandon Sutter's contract, which is probably the most, it's $4 million, so that's the heaviest one. You know, Sutter's at 4, Roussel, Bigot at 3, Furlan at 3.5, but Sutter's over 4. And then burying Louis Eriksson in the AHL, basically asking him to go down there and getting a bit of cap relief from that. So if you do those 4 things somehow, that's trading Jordy Ben, that is trading Berchi, retaining half his salary, that is buying out Brandon Sutter, and then burying Louis Eriksson in the minors. You free up enough cap space, admittedly, with kind of some modest conservative numbers for guys like Markstrom and Toffoli. Thomas Drance used $5.5 million for each of them. This is what you could have next year for a 23-man roster, and basically cap hit of $81.3 million. So just sneaking in under 81.5. It also includes some, deferring overage, bonus overage penalties and all this stuff. But basically, this is what Thomas Drance came up with. So what would you think of this lineup? Think about this lineup as I read it out to you. Okay. JT Miller, Pettersson, and Toffoli, Pearson, Horvat, and Besser. So there's your top 6. Your third line still intact: Roussel, Gaudette, and Virtanen. Then your fourth line, you have Mott, Beagle, and Ferlin. Remember, Sutter's gone. And then your two extra forwards, you have Zach McEwen and Tyler Graovac, a depth center. Okay? So again, the 14 forwards: Miller, Pettersson, Toffoli, Besser, Horvat, Pearson, Gaudette, Virtanen, Roussel, Beagle, Mott, Ferland, McEwen, Graovac. 14 forwards. Here are your 7D. Hughes, Tanev, and Edler. Sorry, Hughes, Myers, and Edler, excuse me. Hughes, Myers, and Edler, the three guys that are in a contract. Then we have Troy Stecher coming back, so that's 4. That's the top 4. And then you have Nikita Trampkin, you have Brogan Rafferty, and Guillaume Brisebois. Okay? So your 7D are 4 returnees: Hughes, Edler, Myers, and Stecher. Then Trampkin and Rafferty making up your bottom pairing, and then Guillaume Brisebois as your number 7. And then your goaltenders, of course, Markstrom and Demko. What do you think of that lineup? There's parts of it scare me. Like your top 4 on D is fine with Hughes, Edler, Stecher, and Myers. But then there's a big drop off to your third pairing. Now Rafferty, he had a great season in the AHL, and he's a little older, right? He's 24, 25, so it's not like he's a 21-year-old rookie. But you have Rafferty and Nikita Trampkin. I know I've talked about him a lot on the past. A lot of people gave me grief for my last video where I didn't think he'd be that effective. I think it's because I actually said he had decent size. No, the guy's massive. So massive size. And then people also took issue with me saying he was an okay skater. Yeah, he can skate fast, like I said, A to B, but his pivoting, his turning, his edge work isn't great. So he gets walked a lot. So anyways, I'll still stand by that part. Anyway, so you got a Rafferty, Trampkin third pairing. Whereas this year you had a Stecher and Benn or Stecher and Fantenberg as your third pairing, and then Guillaume Brisebois as number 7. So on D, you look pretty weak. And actually for the whole thing, this obviously presumes that we don't re-sign Fantenberg and we don't re-sign Josh Leivo, which I think, I know Drance made a point of not putting him in this exercise, but I do think that they are going to re-sign Leivo. And Leivo doesn't have much bargaining power, right? Because of he missed the whole last part of the season. Up front, the good thing about this lineup is you keep your top 6. It's going to be one of the best top 6 in the entire league. So that's great. You keep your top 6, and yes, you keep your top 9 with Roussel, Virtanen, and Gaudette. So that's pretty good, actually. That's good continuity. Then in your bottom, your fourth line, you have Beagle and Mott, who played basically a lot of the year together, and then Sutter would be that extra guy. But now you have Michael Ferlin, a healthy Michael Ferlin, and Zach McEwen playing some spot duty as the 13th forward. So obviously the big ones here, no Leivo, like I said, and no Eriksson. Those are the big ones the guys who played this season. And then of course the same goaltenders of Markstrom and Demko. So I do like this team up front, actually, more than I like last year's team, or this year's team, only because everyone's gonna have another year of confidence, another year of chemistry, and you see a full year of Michael Ferlin. Basically, it was Ferlin in for Sutter is the biggest change, and I'm fine with that. And then Toffoli, of course, we only played 10 games so far. It's basically Toffoli and Ferlin in for Sutter and Eriksson, which I think is a really good trade-off. So I actually like this team on paper up front. I like the forwards a lot better. I think the D is significantly weaker because we're not sure what Trampkin and Rafferty are going to do. And then the goaltending is about the same, obviously, because it's the same 2 guys. So you're better up front, but you're weaker behind. Now, it's not all doom and gloom, because the good thing about the Canucks is they have their big guys kind of staggered their contracts, because we know that Pettersson and Hughes are up for new contracts at the end of next season, technically. So at the end of 2021. And then Brock Besser's 3-year deal will end at the end of 22, and Horvat and Miller will be up in 23. So at least, you have your 5 of your best players kind of staggered over the next 3 years starting next year, right? Like I said, Pettersson and Hughes will need will need new deals at the end of 2021. Besser will need a new deal at the end of 22, and then Horvat and Miller at the end of 23. So at least those guys aren't all in the same year, but who knows what the salary cap's going to be. It might not be any different at that time. And then you're, of course, go back full circle. Then you're challenged with this whole predicament of what to sign both Pettersson and Hughes for. So very fascinating exercise. Those of you that aren't Athletic subscribers, you won't be able to see the whole article, but I explained most of it to you there. But for those of you that are Athletic subscribers, I will link it in the description below. But yeah, I would love to know your thoughts on this potential lineup. This is a salary cap compliant lineup. It presumes no It presumes no Levo, presumes no Fantenberg, and it presumes a trading of a buyout of Brandon Sutter and a trading of and a burying a contract of Louis Eriksson. So let me know what you think of that lineup, and would you be okay with this lineup if that's what the Canucks ice next year? One other change I thought, there's gonna be a lot of talk about Jack Rathbone. I'll probably talk about him in tomorrow's vlog or maybe early next week. But a lot of talk about how Jack Rathbone may be, because of Harvard not having a season, he might actually come and try and make the team next year for the Vancouver Canucks. And then do you slot him ahead of Olli Juolevi already? So there's Rathbone and there's Juolevi. Those are two guys that I think could factor in and battle for that 6th or 7th spot as well on D. And both those guys would be cheaper even than Trampkin, right? So a few things to think about there. So Canucks fans, let me know what you think. What do you think of this lineup? I'll whip through real quick one more time. Miller, Pettersson, Toffoli, Pearson, Horvat, Besser, Roussel, Gaudette, Virtanen, Mott, Beagle, Ferlin, Gravac, and McEwen. Then Hughes, Myers, Edler, Stetcher, Trampkin, Rafferty, Brisebois, Markstrom, Demko. Do you like that lineup compared to this season, or do you think we're in trouble? And remember, this is just spitballing. This is just a hypothetical lineup, but at least this lineup is cap compliant. And I guess, so that's the first question. What do you think of this lineup? And secondly, more importantly, are you worried about the Canucks salary cap problems? Are you worried about the salary cap crunch, or do you have confidence in Jim Benning that he's got something up his sleeve, a way to negotiate, a way to sign key guys? For me, I want it to be Markstrom. I want the four of them. I want Markstrom, Toffoli, Stetcher, and Virtanen all come back. Gaudette too, of course, who's got no bargaining power. Or do you anticipate trades or buyouts? Do you anticipate Jim Benning to do something out of the box, something crazy, something creative to help us get out from this salary cap problem? Leave a comment below. I'd love to read, react, and reply as always. Subscribe if you'd like to. Like this video if you like to. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Have a great day. God bless. And go Canucks go.